What type of kid were you? Did your parents let you watch whatever you wanted? Or did you have to sneak around and watch rated R movies behind their back? If you're a parent now, what do you do? When do you let your kids watch some of your favorite movies? This is a new collection of reviews I'm starting with a twist. I wanted to review some of my favorite movies, but with a slightly different perspective. As a parent, I sometimes struggle as to when I should let my children watch and be introduced to certain movies. Let's get this part out of the way first. This is not me telling anyone when their kids should watch a movie. This is me discussing when I should let my children watch certain movies and giving a good age range as a guide. I think there is a fine line of being the cool parent that lets their kids watch anything and being responsible for what they see and putting that into certain context. There is a website called Commense Media, and I'll put a link to their website in the description below. The website gives recommended age ratings for movies, TV shows, books, anything. For me personally, they are on the conservative side, but it's really up to the parent to decide when their kid can handle certain movies. The first movie I decided to review for this collection is Beverly Hills Cop. I am desperately trying to get my 11-year-old to have the same passion and love for movies that I do. Sadly, I think he's going to take after his mom and not be that passionate about movies. I went through a whole gambit of movies trying to get him to watch something with me. At first I tried Matrix, and then I tried Die Hard, but we eventually settled on the Eddie Murphy classic. The first thing that really jumps off the screen at you as a parent is the language used in the film. Within the first few minutes of the film, we get a profanity-laced exchange between Axel Foley and the criminal he's trying to arrest. This really doesn't stop during the course of the entire film. It's chock full of cuss words. And language is the primary reason this movie got a rated R rating. Now for me personally, introducing my son to strong language doesn't bother me. He knows not to use it, and I'm sure he's heard much worse on the school bus. I personally know I did. The bus is the first place I ever heard the F word. And probably every bad thing I learned when I was a youth was on the school bus. And I'm pretty sure it probably hasn't changed. So he's heard the language, he knows not to use it, at least around adults. So I really don't have a big issue of him watching a movie with bad language in it. The second red flag in the movie is the violence. There is one graphic execution in the movie, but blood isn't splattering everywhere. And after this execution, the gun violence isn't that bad. When somebody gets shot, blood is shown. That's about the extent of it. I would really say this movie has moderate violence for being rated R. For the era that this was made in, this is definitely on the lower end of the violence spectrum. So should my kid who is 11 be able to watch this? For him, I would say yes. He's a mature kid, and I don't think the violence will have a profound impact on him. I know the very first time I saw Die Hard, for example, it was way too early for me to see it, and some of those death scenes are still etched in my brain. I don't think anything in Beverly Hills Cop is all that graphic, except maybe that first execution, but I think he's mature enough to handle all the visuals. That's not to say other kids around his age would be able to handle the violence. It really is a case-by-case basis. The only other sensitive part in the movie is when Axel Foley goes to a strip club. There are topless dancers in the strip club who are in fact topless. Go figure. That could be a deal breaker for most, but it's a very short scene, at least the part with the nudity in it, and he's never going to be able to watch an R-rated action movie made in the 80s if I limit it to the ones with no nudity in it. The scene also plays a big part in the story overall, with Axel starting to gain the trust of the Beverly Hills officers. So the nudity isn't just thrown in there like some of the other R-rated movies of the era. Does the scene have to be in a strip club? No, it doesn't, but that's a whole nother discussion about R-rated movies made in the 80s. Now, for me personally, the most crucial point as to when you let a kiddo watch a movie is when they are able to grasp and understand the plot of the film. If a story is action-packed with bunches of explosions, most are going to be able to enjoy it. However, when I let my son watch a movie, I want to make sure he understands what's happening during the course of the film. For example, leading up to the movie Spectre, I let my son watch the 3 Daniel Craig James Bond movies. While we were rewatching those movies, I realized just how convoluted the plot in Casino Royale is. Well, at least for an 11-year-old. During the course of that film, I had to stop it 3 or 4 times to explain certain aspects of the plot of the movie. Beverly Hills Cop doesn't really have that. It's a simple murder mystery that Axel has to solve. The only part of the movie I would really have to explain is what a German barabond is, and that's easy enough. The bare bones of the story are, someone killed Axel's friend, and he has to figure out who and why. Simple, straightforward, and easy to follow. What are a bit harder to follow are the jokes in the movie. Axel/Foley is wisecracking throughout the entire film, and the jokes are a bit dated and intended for an older audience. So I went ahead and let my son watch this movie. In the scene where Axel Foley is checking into the hotel room, he turned to me and asked, "Dad, what's the Rolling Stone?" Don't think I failed as a father that he doesn't know what Rolling Stone is, please. So I stopped the movie, explained what Rolling Stone was, and we went on our way. Side note, the amount of the hotel room is like $230. And by today's standard, that would be super cheap for Beverly Hills. And for the movie, that's supposed to be extravagant. Just one of the aspects of the movie that feels a little dated. I found it kind of funny though. I didn't find my son laughing at very many of the jokes throughout the movie, so either they're going over his head, or he just didn't find them funny. I personally don't remember the first time I saw Beverly Hills as a kid. It had to be after I got cable in my room, so probably around 13 or 14. My son said he liked the movie, but it didn't really captivate him as much as it did me the first time I saw it. So maybe he is a year or two away from when he actually should see this movie to be able to get all the jokes. That or he just didn't like it. I think the right age range for this movie is probably anywhere from 11 to 14 years old, depending on the kid. The website commonsensemedia.com has this one listed as 16 plus for viewing. That's too conservative for my taste, but I can understand for those who think that is the right age to view this movie. Let me know in the comments when was the first time that you saw Beverly Hills Cop. If you're currently a parent, let me know when you would feel comfortable letting your kids watch this movie. This again is my first when should I let my kid watch video. I plan on trying to do one of these every week, maybe every other week. We'll see how it goes. Let me know in the comments what you think, and suggest other movies that you think we should watch. Subscribe to keep up with the content, give me a thumbs up if you like this video, share if you think it's worth sharing. Is that it? Yep, that's it.